Guys, what the fuck is up? We're doing another motherfucking mock draft. This time, we hopped in a 12-team PPR, pretty standard settings. Let's look quickly at the roster. So we got one QB, two RB, three wide receiver, and two flex. And because it's PPR, that means there's going to be a premium on wide receivers and on receiving running backs, obviously. But yeah, you could start essentially five wide receivers. My pick, I'm at the 1-9, as you guys see here. For me, it's AJ Brown. It's not even close. Basically, Kellen Moore effect, man. I mentioned this in one of my last mock drafts that I think AJ Brown is like a top five guy this season. I have him over Amon-Ra St. Brown, over potentially even Tyreek Hill. Kellen Moore, everywhere he's gone, has turned dudes into like absolute studs, right? So he did it for Keenan Allen for the Chargers, and then he did it for CeeDee Lamb, right, for the Cowboys. He turned these guys into studs. And now you counter argument is that you could say Devontae Smith being there, uh, you know, is Kellen Moore going to be able to have the same effect on Brown that he had for those other guys with Devontae Smith being such a vital part of that offense? I don't know. Let's look at the draft. Let's talk about some of these other picks. So I love Chase this season. I mean, the first like 10 picks are pretty much cut and paste, right? Copy pasta everywhere you go. So it's back to my pick now. I think it's pretty difficult to pass up Devontae Adams. Again, full point PPR, you can start potentially five wide receivers. Um, I know Devontae Adams is getting up there in age, but offsetting that with the fact that he should be like the main guy for that team still. Why not? I mean, it's redraft. It's not a dynasty league, so I think Devontae Adams, in this kind of like tier of wide receivers, for me he is kind of like that last guy in that tier. So I would take Devontae over Nakua and Harrison still. It's like I'm adamant about always jumping off of players as they start to get older, but I do think Devontae Adams still has like another good year in him, being kind of like really the only dude other than him and Myers, right? So, Achan, don't really like that pick this season. I just think it's a little too rich. Second round capital for a guy who it really gets most of his production based on efficiency, not volume. And in fantasy, you usually want to chase volume and not chase efficiency. Now, you're happy when the players you have are efficient, right? But it's just not one of those things that you feel very confident in, because you need, the the expectation or the hope is that they do a lot with the few touches they get. What about those games when they don't, right? I think Achan even had a couple games in the season where he didn't really make any pop plays, so he didn't really do much. He couldn't really lean on volume then in that way. Second round is just brutal in general. I think most of these guys I have like slight quarrels with, of slight hesitations about like most of these dudes in the second round. Shotgunning through them. I love Gibbs and I love Adams, but after that, I'm a little nervous. ETN, you saw his efficiency really go down in the second half of the season. Diggs, one of three very good players now for the Texans. Second round, apply the same thing to Nico, right? Like, it's going to be Dell, it's going to be Diggs, it's going to be Collins. You don't know who's going to pop off. It's kind of like the Bears. It's a very similar problem that they're going to be having. So it's like, instead of taking a shot on one of them, just let everyone else profit, right? Like, let your league mates grab them and let them profit off of playing that carousel, that Russian roulette of not knowing who's going to pop in any week. Now, you could make the case that maybe all three could produce and could be viable fantasy options, but in the second round, I don't know. Olave, I do like Olave. I think like in the second round, the second half of the second round, Olave is like that only guy. So if you're in one of these earlier picks, Olave is someone that I like. Drake London too could be a nice pick, but yeah, you're just a little hesitant about most of them because Drake London struggled with the volume last season. Debo Samuel, is he going to get receiving volume in a PPR league, even though he does get rushing production, or he used to? Is he going to continue getting it? He might get like 2 or 3 touchdowns on the season from his rushing, but I don't know if that's something you want to lean on. I think Kelsey's still a good pick, especially in the third round. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Derrick Henry could be just a touchdown beast. Could be have like a LeGarrette Blount season, but yeah, it's just I typically like to stay away from dudes who are entering their age 29 season. Fuck, Jalen Waddle would have been a nice pick for me there. Now this is when I can start to glance over at running back, and if there's any more of those last like receiving running backs, I do see Alvin Kamara on the board, but I do think I'm gonna triple tap wide receiver and hope that Kamara falls to me. I just think Kamara could have like an 80 reception season. They could kind of temper his rushing and his rush attempts, which they should because his efficiency was dog water last season when they turned him into a traditional running back, which is really not Kamara's bread and butter. Let's see if he can fall to me though, because I think if he's like strictly a receiving back, maybe he gets like mostly third down and some second down work. Maybe they get like a bruising run. Maybe Kendra Miller handles like early down stuff. Kamara's kind of like a gadget player. They use him on third downs as well as out of maybe an even 2 RB sets. I don't know. I don't fucking know. But I just think he's too good. And he still looked good last season. The Saints offense was dog shit. And Derek Carr still dumps off to his running back. So who knows? Maybe Kamara remains in an early down role as well. And then you're still happy as long as he continues getting third down work. Now, the reason I went Cooper Kupp, I do think he's still the main guy for the Rams. I think he was dealing with injuries last season. He had some ankle injuries and stuff like that. So Kamara did fall to me. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly look over at wide receiver. Yeah, let's go ahead and take Kamara. So, yeah, I do think Kupp is still going to be a weapon for Stafford. They have that chemistry. They have a bond together. I do think Kupp is still trusted, especially in the red zone. He still could be like a 7 target per game guy. So why not? Like if he's my third wide receiver, I think you could be pretty stoked about that. I do think like looking at my team, or let me rephrase. I think if I am an opponent and I'm going to face my team, I think you're a little bit nervous, right? It's like Devontae Adams, Kupp, and Brown could be like a retirement home team, and Kamara could be a retirement home team. But in redraft, I do think that they're like dudes that still have juice, right? There's some redraft retirement players who I don't think have juice anymore. Like, for example, Aaron Jones. I don't think he's got any more juice. I just think coming off of like a bad hammy injury, and on his, his third contract now with a new team. I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure. I want to chase that. Apply the same thing to James Conner, except he's not on a new team. He's just old. He's just old and kind of injury prone. I think he missed like 4 games last season, right? Yeah. We got some auto picks. We got AI starting to slowly take over this draft, which means the snipes are imminent. J.K. Hawk's probably going to get fucking... probably going to convert to AI, and he's going to be sniping my picks. He's going to take like a 4th QB when I need one late. It's coming, dude. It's imminent. These drafts never last. People always dip out after like the 4th, 5th round because, I mean, this late in the offseason, you really just want to see how like the beginning of your draft pans out because later picks, dude, there's going to be so much parity. There's going to be so much movement in ADPs. Let's see. Let's talk about some of these other picks. I already kind of commented on Keenan Allen, Tank Dell, Diggs, Nico, these guys where it's like very talented, should be a good offense, but just mouths to feed, right? You want to try to go for guys where there's a limited amount of receiving options that are of the same quality, if that makes sense. So I think Nico Collins has proven himself. I think Tank Dell has definitely proven himself. And Diggs has been a stalwart, right, in the NFL. So these are 3 guys that are all proven and should command targets. That's sketch. Take the same exact approach to the Bears, right? You pretty much the Bears are literally exactly the same. Like you have Tank Dell, who's like this new up and coming, or I'm sorry, Odunze, new up and coming, hyped up, high draft capital wide receiver. That's what Tank Dell was last season. Not as high draft capital, obviously, but all right, it's my pick. I'll get back to that point after this. I'll probably forget, but looking back at RB, I think at this point, I think I take Swift here, and then it's pretty much 0 or 2 RB the rest of the way. And so I think I won't take another RB for a while. The reason I wanted to take Swift there first is because he is a dude that I think represents a receiving running back, right? He's one of those last guys, in my opinion, on this board that is like not only going to be like the clear lead back, he's a dude who's known for his receiving prowess. Kind of similar to Kamara. He's like a poor man's Kamara in my mind. On a team that should be pretty good, a pretty balanced offense, pretty good offense with Caleb coming in. So that's why I took Swift there. I'm hoping that a wide receiver that I want falls to me. Just to let you guys know, it is Zay Flowers. Again, following my logic from earlier, the Bears, they have Keenan Allen, who is like Diggs. You have Nico Collins, who is like DJ Moore, right? Still kind of young, has proven himself. Anyway, Zay Flowers is a dude who is kind of like sitting alone in a wide receiver room where you have other dudes who really aren't on his level, and he already proved it as a rookie. Now, I know Rashad Bateman's getting a lot of hype, but that's it's an undrafted player currently in most leagues. So Zay Flowers is a dude I would take here. If Zay Flowers doesn't fall to me, I think I might pivot to Jaden Reed. I might also take a glance at QB. Keeping in mind if there are any stacks alive. No stacks that matter. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is gone. That's the only stack that would have felt nice. So Zay Flowers does not get drafted, which means he's still on the board. Now, Kyle Pitts is still staring at me, but I think I will punt QB and tight end in this one just to see how that goes. I'm just going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Flowers, get this moving. What RBs would have been interesting to me? Not Aaron Jones because of the age, not David Montgomery just because he's more of like a non-PPR guy in my opinion, especially with the fact that the Lions have said that they want to get Gibbs more involved and take a larger share of the timeshare. So that's why I wouldn't go with Montgomery. Roger Stevenson, I just never draft Patriots players. That's my motto. Now, it could be different, obviously, in New England. But, yeah, Ramondre Stevenson never really jumped off the screen to me. He's not somebody that I think is entirely talented. And I do think Antonio Gibson will probably take some third down work. He's hype and he's kind of bad, but if Gibson can do one thing, it's catch the ball out of the backfield. So, who else? Mostert, old. Najee Harris, bad. Bad and less fat, but still fat, says the fat. Zamir White could have been interesting there. I just think Zamir White, it's like how stable or how safe is his starting role? Now, if he starts 18 games or 17 games, I don't know how fucking long seasons are anymore, then Zamir White's probably one of the bigger values in the league. He might be someone that I take, right, with my next pick if he's still on the board. Javonte Williams, I'm not going to say Javonte Williams is bad, but if I had to sum him up in one word, it's badish. Kind of bad in 2 words. Zamir White goes, dude stream sniped me and an offline recorded video. Yeah, I mean, I don't have to talk about the dudes further on because they don't match current ADP, but Jaden Reed will be the dude that I take if he falls to me in the next pick, but I don't think he will. I will glance Evan Ingram's way because I do think he should be like the number 2 target or potentially even the number 1 target for the Jags. I know a lot of people love Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie that the Jags just drafted, but I don't know. And Kirk has never really been a high volume guy. Only for that like one season that he first came to the Jags, he was kind of a high volume guy. But I do think Kirk is kind of Yeah, he's coming off an injury, and he's, if he's the one, Ingram should be the two. Jaden Reed goes, which is sad. Evan Ingram also goes. I'm getting sniped left and right. They're not even AI yet. They're already sniping me. Yeah, it's kind of sad times now when I look at the board. Two dudes that I wanted are gone. Christian Watson is still there. Um, Damn, am I about to take Javonte Williams? I think I'm about to take Javonte Williams. Oh boy. So the reason I'm taking Javonte Williams is that he still figures to be the starting running back. So if you can still get a starting running back who I think the dudes behind him shouldn't threaten his job. Yeah, it's getting a little bit of depth there. I don't think there won't be too many times where I start him over another wide receiver, which is why I was kind of leaning wide receiver there. But looking over at wide receiver, let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and queue up Christian Watson. There's a lot of hype behind Jaden Reed because he seems to be like the Debo Samuel type archetype for the Packers. It looks like they were going to be using him in kind of that Debo role, especially when Watson was out last season. You can really see that they were using him in like swing arounds, short yardage stuff, close to the line of scrimmage. Let him, use his skill to create. So Christian Watson should be more of that traditional down the field wide receiver. And I think Christian Watson can still lead the team in receptions. I do think that. I think if they have fixed whatever was wrong with him, I think like dude couldn't run. Like he just couldn't run right, I guess. I don't really understand, but supposedly he had like misalignment in his hips or something, or his legs, where one leg was like beefier than the other one. Dude was definitely skipping half of leg day. But supposedly he's fixed it. He's working on fixing it. So if he can remain healthy, I do think Christian Watson, he could be like a Mike Evans type player. He can have a Mike Evans type career from here on out. Maybe not in terms of longevity, but in terms of like how he could produce in the upcoming seasons. I do think he could be like a 1K 8 touchdown guy, and he's got the same like body as Mike Evans. Pause. Anyway, Deontay Johnson, I think, is a good pick. I think it's just like you don't have to be the hottest girl at the ball. You just have to be the only girl at the ball, and that's pretty much Deontay Johnson. I don't trust Leggett, who's already like injured. Jonathan Mingo, dude, the Mandingo. I don't trust him. He didn't look very good last season. There were a couple games or later in the season where he was commanding quite a lot of volume and just didn't really do much with it. So in this league, man, if your name is Mingo and you're on the Panthers, you need to really produce with the opportunity you get. Otherwise, I think the leashes are quite short in the NFL. Just Mingo, it's just not a name. It's not like a household name, right? It's not a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Jonathan Mingo, right? Tank Dell, dude, writes itself, dude. Tank Dell, Jonathan Mingo ain't it, dude. AJ Brown, clean. CeeDee Lamb, clean. You know what I'm saying? Garrett Wilson, clean. Jonathan Mingo, nah. You can't sell any Jonathan Mingo jerseys. That's the problem. Nobody's gonna be walking around fucking. Is it North Carolina or South Carolina? I don't even know. Nobody's gonna be walking around both Carolinas with a goddamn Mingo jersey. All right, let's look. Any of these other picks look good. Jonathan Brooks, that's a nice pick. Should be a 3 down back. Would have been interesting to me. Shit, man. I should have went Watson and Brooks over Williams, to be honest. I'm not excited about Javonte Williams. He's just a guy to me at this point. I know he had a lot of hype, but what are we looking at here now? Is it time to start looking at QB and tight end? Fucking, I guess so, right? I guess you don't want to be left with like, Sam Darnold. Oh, Dak just got swooped. I guess I have to take Caleb then. But why not Tua? Like, what is Caleb going to be able to do that Tua hasn't already done? Do I have any stacks? Flowers, Watson, Jordan Love would have been sick. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with Dallas Goddard, and then I'm gonna take. Wow, dude, Caleb gets swooped, and then I'm gonna take. Ooh, do I wait and take Herbert even later? Why is Herbert getting drafted so late? Does anybody know? Is it because he has no weapons? What's the meaning of this? Is he bad? Is Herbert bad? Is he fake news? What's the Yeah, I don't understand why Herbert is being drafted so late. I don't see why like maybe I'm stupid, maybe there's some news that I'm missing, but he's a year removed from being like a top 5 QB, is he not? So, I don't get it, man. I think we wait and we see if we can't get Herbert later on. I think we start taking more wide receivers. Let's see. Dude, fuck all of these names. Cortland Sutton, I guess. I don't want two pieces of that Denver offense, do I? I'm panicking. Chase Brown. Chase Brown was already starting to take some work away from Joe Mixon last season, late in the season. Popped off, had like an 80-yard touchdown in one game, or like a 60-yard touchdown where he like really showed off his speed. And then the next game after that, he actually started the game. I remember it because I started him that week, and he got like the first drive for the Bengals, and then it was a tight game, so they just reverted to Mixon, and Brown was never to be heard or seen of again. And I lost my matchup, and I hate fantasy, but yeah, I think Chase Brown now with Mixon heading out, I think Chase Brown it could be a nice 1-2 punch. I think Zach Moss is probably going to be the guy on like first and second down, with Chase Brown taking a drive plus third down stuff, like a drive here and there plus third downs. That's okay, right? That's okay for like my fourth running back. He's like a depth piece for me. And if Zach Moss goes down, or if Zach Moss is just kind of the Zach Moss that we remember from like the Bills, why not see what Brown has in him, you know? So that's the thinking there. Um, Damn, that was some straight like Kobe shot clock. Three defenders draped on me. Pump fake. They didn't bite. Pump fake again. They didn't bite again. Chase Brown from the corner, from the elbow. All right. What are we doing? Mike Willie. Mike Willie's a pretty interesting pick to me. I think uh, if we love Garrett Wilson so much, enough to take him in the first round, right? Aaron Rodgers has always been kind of capable um, of allowing or providing for two receiving options. You know, and at one point in Aaron Rodgers' career, more than two receiving options were able to eat. Basically, if you're on a Rodgers offense, everybody eats. So, yeah, I think that late with Mike Williams. I mean, the problem for Mike Williams really is that he's injured. He's coming off another injury. He's now been in the league for 6 seasons. What is this? 6 seasons, of which it's always been just potential. So I don't know. It's my pick again. Four running backs, 4 wide receivers. I think it's time to take another wide receiver. What do you guys think? Um, or do we double down and take another RB? I think we go wide receiver here. I think we go with. My God, I just peed on Leggett, but yeah, if Deontay Johnson is old news, I think he will command about 120 targets. But let's just say they want to start to create hype around around Bryce Young. How do you do that? You get him weapons, and you get him weapons that he can potentially grow up with, the same way they did with Joe Burrow. So it's really a dart throw, man. You never know. I know he's got a hammy injury already. I already kind of drug him through the mud, but why not? These are all dart throws. I might even end this draft already. Let's see. Chuba, Jalen, J.K. Dobbins. I guess we can go with Dobbins. If Gus Edwards, even if Gus Edwards doesn't get injured, if J.K. Dobbins is anywhere near what he used to be, he's a better running back than Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards coming off his worst career from like an efficiency and advanced metric point of view. Counter argument: J.K. Dobbins is coming off of like 3 injuries in a row. He's getting paid like I think minimum wage for the Chargers. I think they're paying him like $7.50. Not even like current minimum wage. They're paying him like 2012 minimum wage. Dude's making $7.50 with no health insurance. So he's on such a cheap contract. Like, why would they give him the volume? Is what other people would say. But somebody has to do something for the Chargers, right? Maybe that's why Herbert's getting drafted in the fucking 18th round, because he really just has no options or no weapons. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, you're taking dudes with upside. I'll probably take Kendre Miller to get one of my handcuffs. Rashid Shaheed would have been a nice pick. Let's throw some dudes in the queue, and then I can maybe give you my thoughts on them. I think Pearsall could emerge as like the bona fide wide receiver 3 for the Niners, but how valuable is that? Like, what's his ceiling, right? He'd need like 3 injuries. There's so many options for the Niners. You need like 3 injuries just to be like what Ayuk is. And Ayuk is not even that dependable of a fancy option, right? Like, that's the problem with the Niners, where after McCaffrey, it's like, all right, this week it's Ayuk's turn. This week it's Kittle's turn. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I think Jalen Polk is interesting because he looks to be entering a wide receiver room where he could emerge as like the number 1 guy, and which means he could be like the number 1 guy just in general for the Patriots, right? They don't have a Kittle, they don't have a McCaffrey. Yeah, why not? Let's take Polk. I mean, who gives a fuck at this point, right? I could take another tight end, Ben Sinnott. What did I say I was gonna? I said I was gonna handcuff Kamara, right? Does Swift have a handcuff? Who would Swift's handcuff be? Roshan, I guess. I feel like I'm kind of light on wide receiver. Like, I usually like going heavier on wide receiver. I feel like Swift was bait. Herbert's being shopped. He could end up somewhere interesting where he could be a valuable player. I don't have a QB. Did I not take Herbert? Damn. I don't have a QB. I punted QB so hard that I'm now in the dumpster bin. Damn. All right, guys, dude, that's why you mock, man. That's why you mock is, I mean, when you're shooting a YouTube video, it's hard as fuck, but I basically would have taken, in reality, I would have probably taken like Tua where I took Brown. Like, I was going to make the argument that why not Tua over Caleb, right? 'Cause remember when I was about to take Caleb, I was thinking about Tua. Basically, Tua's already done it. He's on a great offense, for a great coaching staff that's offensive minded. So I would have taken Tua. Just editor, edit this out. And I'm talking about, I'm the editor. So future me, edit that. Pretend I took Tua. Yeah, that's the draft, man. What else is there to say? Damn, you guys were getting the audio from this draft that whole time. That's fucking annoying. Late round picks, you just want to get guys who are sitting on like thin rosters or thin starting rosters. What the fuck's the word? Depth charts? Yeah, on thin depth charts, meaning the dudes ahead of them, maybe they're old, maybe they're not producing like their teams or their management wants them to be producing, kind of like the Panthers, right? you want to get guys who like could emerge through the fray, right? Could machete their way through the thicket, kind of be like, "Yo, I'm here." Like, be raise their hand and be like, let me cook, dude. Let me cook." So those are my thoughts on kind of who you want to be targeting. Um, yeah, Quentin Johnston is another guy that could be interesting. Like if you want a piece of that Chargers receiving room, I think Quentin Johnston. I know everybody was dragging him. He had like prime time moments where he just shat the bed, but so he's getting a lot of hype. Um, he's getting a lot of hype in the. With my last pick, I'll go ahead and take Roshan. Just handcuffs, I guess. Yeah, that's the draft, man. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know which picks I fucked up. Let me show you the team. We went A.J. Brown in the first, Devontae Adams Cup. Now, I would have been happy if Waddle fell to me. If you're starting, if Waddle is your third wide receiver in a PPR league, I think you're pretty stoked about that. I could have taken Pittman there as well, or DK. It's really just preference at that point. Stay away from guys who are on crowded depth charts, right? So like I said, the Texans, the Bears. Stay away from guys who are stay away from dudes on teams like the Bills. So any of their wide receivers, that'd be just. I know there's opportunity on a team like the Bills. Like Coleman could be, is he the next Justin Jefferson? Who knows? But I think in a redraft league, you just want to like mitigate the risk that you get dudes that are on struggling teams, right? So like for example, last season, I was really high on Amon-Ra St. Brown because the expectation was that they're going to be a great offense, right? Because of how they were the season prior and how they ended the season prior, and Amon-Ra St. Brown's role kind of to close the season. So you're like, all right, this is a team on the uptrend. They've added more pieces. They've added Gibbs. That's why Amon-Ra St. Brown kind of was like a great sleeper pick, right? Bringing in Tyreek Hill, right, for the Dolphins like 3 seasons ago, whenever Tyreek joined the Dolphins. A lot of people were super high on Waddle, even before they brought Tyreek Hill in. Waddle ended up being a sleeper pick that season. So you want to get dudes where teams are on the uptrend. Now the Bills, the reason I brought up the Bills is because Diggs gone. Dalton Kincaid still kind of unproven, right? Gabe Davis gone. Like the trend is maybe up, but all signs are indicating down, right? If you lose a guy like Diggs, who's kind of like been, you could say the reason Josh Allen. I'm not going to say that. I think Josh Allen is good, but a lot of these quarterbacks who we were kind of unsure about, so they get a wide receiver one and suddenly they're fucking god mode, right? Like Jalen Hurts. I was selling Devontae Smith everywhere because I got him in Dynasty, and then when Jalen Hurts became the starter, I was so scared. And then they bring in A.J. Brown, and suddenly Jalen Hurts is like a top 5 QB, right? Like, was Jalen Hurts always a great quarterback throwing the ball? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. We're not even talking about the mock draft anymore. Kamara and Swift, 2 receiving running backs that should be, 3 down backs, hopefully for their teams. Zay Flowers, very, empty depth chart. Javonte Williams, he's bad, but he was like one of those last like RB1s, I guess. I don't know, probably not. They probably have a timeshare with Jaleel McLaughlin because he looked pretty good and dynamic. Zamir White probably would have been the pick there. I think I even mentioned that. Christian Watson could be the wide receiver 1. He can at least get you big plays. I got these guys that are more like possession-y. Devontae Adams, high volume. Cup, decent or moderate to high volume. Christian Watson's that like, all right, home run. I need to win a week. I'm down by 20. Let me throw Watson in. And then the rest of these dudes are just dart throws. Leggett, dart throw, in an uncrowded wide receiver room. Chase Brown, uncrowded running back room with Zach Moss as his only competition. J.K. Dobbins, same thing, uncrowded RB room, even though he's bad and has been injured. Polk, uncrowded wide receiver room. You're seeing the trend, right? Uncrowded rooms. Yeah, uncrowded rooms in these last picks. How uncrowded is the room that the dudes you're taking? Early picks, are they the clear option in an uncrowded? I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Catch you guys in the next video. Later.